Hey Phoenix fam, what's poppin'? Welcome back to PhoenixFeatherAirsoft, where we cover everything airsoft and outdoors. Today I'm excited to introduce you to the Pfalcon 640 Plus, a thermal monocular that fits in the palm of your hand and weighs less than 500 grams. An absolute game changer in the world of thermal imaging for the outdoors. Let's go. First of all, thanks to Nighttech for sending this over and letting me try this out. If you're interested in any kind of night vision devices or thermal imagers, just go and head over to the Nighttech website. Thanks, Tom. Before we dive into the specifics of the Pfalcon 640, let's talk about how a thermal camera actually works. Essentially, a thermal camera detects heat and takes that information to create a picture. This allows us to see things that are usually invisible to our naked eye, or allows you to see in complete darkness through smoke or fog and other obscurance. But they don't really work like normal cameras do. Regular daylight cameras and the human eye both work on the same basic principle. Visible light energy hits something, bounces off of it, a detector receives the reflecting light and then turns that into an image. That's basically how this camera that films this actually works right now, or how your iPhone works or your old film camera. In contrast, thermal cameras make pictures from heat and not visible light. Heat, or also called infrared or thermal energy, and light are both part of the electromagnetic spectrum. But the camera that can detect light can't really detect heat, and with that thermal energy. A thermal camera detects the infrared energy and converts this infrared data into an electronic image that shows the apparent surface temperature of the object being measured. And each temperature value is assigned a different color. So everything around us gives off thermal energy, even ice, even something that is really, really cold, but it's just very, very, very little. That's why a thermal camera also works in complete darkness, where maybe a night vision device wouldn't work anymore because there's no light to amplify. And the hotter something is, the more thermal energy it emits. So what is very special with this little unit? It is that it is so little and it can be helmet mounted to be looking through it, and has onboard recording with video playback and a high definition monitor you're looking at. All that in a small body that only weighs 355 grams. So it's really light. You may say, with a resolution of 640 by 512 pixels, that seems like very low res, does it? Especially like to this camera that's filming right now in like 2K with like 4096 times like 2160 pixels. But the resolutions are low in comparison to visible light images because the thermal detectors need to sense energy that has a much larger wavelength than visible light. It's on a different space on the spectrum, requiring each sense element to be significantly larger. So you don't need that many pixels to actually form an image. As a result, thermal camera usually has a much lower resolution, fewer pixels than visible sensors of the same mechanical size. So what can you do with this? So obviously you can use this and just hold it to your eye and look through it. You know, you can just turn it on, hold it like this. Then it can be helmet mounted. It can go like this on your left or on your right eye. Then you can also put it and use it as a clip-on thermal in front of your scope. So you're gonna look through your scope, through that device, and you can see a thermal imaging. And then of course, it can also be used as an aiming device if that's allowed in your country. So I'm in Germany, it's not allowed. It can display a reticle, not here, it's disabled. So you basically have a little crosshair and you just use this as your aiming device on your hunting rifle, for example. Then of course it has 4 different picture modes. This is the white is hot, the black is hot, the red is hot, and of course the color we've seen so many times in like movies and whatsoever. But we're gonna come back to that a little later. In Airsoft, the Pfalcon 640 could give you a huge advantage in like an outdoor setting in the dark to spot your enemies. It's basically like wallhack with a little color spot to spot your opponents in the dark through vegetations, through fog, through smoke. Yeah, and if they're laying in the bush, you're gonna see them. Though it has to be noted that the lens cannot be protected. As it's a special effect with all kinds of thermal cameras, they cannot look through glass. Glass blocks long wave infrared radiation, and the frequency most useful for thermography. So that means if you just look at glass, you just see cold. You cannot look through it. So if you would put a lens protector in front of here, like a glass or a plastic, you just can't look through it. Thus, the lenses of thermal cameras are usually made of germanium, zinc selenide, calcium fluoride, or sapphire. And you can see that they're highly reflected. They just look so different to a glass lens. But of course, it could be a very valuable tool for navigation from the far to maybe spot enemies, like see where the enemy team is like going in like a night game, so you can spot them out, tell your people, put it away, and like keep it out of the danger. But of course, there's a lot of other applications besides Airsoft. Maybe Airsoft is really only like the side hustle of a thermal imager, because in hunting, of course, and in search and rescue, it has huge applications. It can help you locate animals or missing persons, even in very low visible conditions. But it's also a valuable tool for surveillance and security, as it can detect heat signatures from people and vehicles and basically everything. So basically, that's what I did to really test this out. I had a buddy, he is a hunter, and we went on a little hunting trip. He's a hunter here in Germany, and he has his own territory where he is allowed to hunt. And I was like, he asked me if I wanted to come out, and I was like, hell yeah, dude, I want to try this thing out. What did we do? We headed out on like a Friday afternoon, and we got to his territory just before the sun really set to find some deer, spot some deer. And we actually did, and it was so freaking easy with this device. So we waited until the sun set. We had to be really quiet and just like absorb the atmosphere, like scout around. It really feels like wall hacking if you look like into a patch of dense forest and you can't really see. It's like too dark already to really spot something, and you look through it and just like a little red blimp pops up and you're like, oh shit, there's something there. I had no idea. But unfortunately, we didn't get anything that night, but that's okay. This is totally fine. And then we came back the next morning at 6 o'clock before the sun actually rose, and we went back to the same spot, and we were actually waiting for some wild boars. But we were again a little unlucky. Maybe I was the unlucky factor. We were still discussing about that, because ever since he went back alone and he was very successful and lucky without me. So maybe I was the deciding factor. Non-regard, I had so much fun. It's such a vibe to be in the forest when the sun rises. Everything gets like brighter, warmer. It was like snow covered and you can start to hear the birds chirping. It's such a vibe. I highly recommend you doing this. And then every once in a while, like scanning the entire 360 around you to see if there's something. And then actually you spotting little mouses coming out of their like little holes on the ground and just starting their day. It's just so cool to see, because it's so easy to spot with this. With your own eyes, I don't think you could actually make that out, because you look and you see a little red blob like bloop, 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 running around, and then you look without it and you can't tell. It's just brown and a little white from the snow. No way you can spot that with your own eyes. The battery life with this was absolutely fantastic. Like from 6 o'clock until like 10 o'clock or so, I maybe shut it off like twice for like 20 minutes. Yeah, at the end, I still had 2 bars of 5 left. So easy peasy. Usually I had it just on. I had it connected with my phone so I could see the live view, and I could just like hold it like this if you want, or you can hold it like that. It's just a little bit more fun like this. And I was just like looking around, setting it aside, because the boot up time always takes a couple seconds. You have to be aware of that. So I just kept it running and it was totally fine. For the picture mode, I used the red hot the most. I think the application for hunting is the best with the red hot, because the hottest part of like something living will be displayed in red. So you have an inverted image where white is hot basically, but the really, really hot is in a bright red. So if you look through a dark forest and everything's like really dark, black because it's cold, then a red spot really pops out. Like, I mean, like wallhack CS 1.6, you know, it's like boom, it's right there. And with maybe where you only have the white hot, it's sometimes hard to distinguish, like, is this something living? Because if it might not be moving, you don't know. It could be because it's very, very bright, but sometimes you'll see, like if there's some dirt on the floor that has been lifted, the ground of the forest is actually also emitting temperature, and you see this in the pictures. And yeah, the white hot is just not enough distinguishable for a hunter. It's cool to look at. You've seen it in basically every Call of Duty or a battlefield. It's fun, but it's like not perfect in that regards. Then of course there's black is hot, which is more like a traditional image you would see, but like black and white. But that can be very bright and a little bit straining on the eye. This is because they use the inverted white is hot. Then there's the red hot, which is most useful for hunting. And then there's the color mode, which shows the wide range of different temperatures in different colors. So everything is assigned a color. Like usually, like the more towards red and white it gets, the hotter it is, and more towards the blue it gets, the colder it is. Of course, looking through this in your house, in your day-to-day life is completely fun to see what kind of temperature stuff is. I can actually turn it on and make a clip of the camera, because you'll see all these different temperature structures. You can see the walls. What is there? Maybe like a pipe running down the wall that has a temperature. It's just so much fun to film absolutely mundane things and see how they look through thermal imager. For example, if you wash your hands with cold water, it basically looks like black over your hands and it leaves streaks everywhere on your skin. And that basically every glass surface turns in a perfect mirror, and even if you look through it, you can see yourself. Of course, you have a little focus knob in the front, which is manual. This is like goes with all thermal imagers and also night vision devices. And then I see the camera right in front of me, and you can see how the lens is very cold, and then you can see the whole different heat inside the camera. Then the fan is a little less hot, and the display is not that hot, and I just love looking at this stuff. It's so cool. And I spent a very embarrassing amount of time on actually seeing how I could picture a fart of mine, because I've seen those like super viral videos where you can see people farting under like a thermal imager, and I tried many times. And guys, it's not so easy to record a fart if you really want to, because if you're like, then really have to run, set the camera up, turn it on, put it on your mobile phone so you have the live view to get in frame, to have it in absolute focus, and then trying to squeeze a fart out, it didn't really work. Like I tried it many times, and the only thing that I could do is like heat up my underpants like for this tiniest little bit, which is still hilarious, and I hope you enjoy, because I put like basically a whole evening into that effort. What is the best applications for this very expensive camera, so to speak, is film your own farts and go out with your tiny dogs and see how they pee and poop, because that's fun. What would you try to film with this if you have this? What would be your favorite thing to see through a thermal camera? Please put that into the comments down below. So let me show you real quick how the unit works. I'm gonna film it on the other side with my iPhone, and I hope that it works. So we're gonna hold the on button. There we go. Now we have a good feed. You can see the boot screen right now. So here we can see the camera, and then now I press the menu button, the middle button, and we can see the menu. We can see on the left side the Wi-Fi button is on, so I can connect it to my phone actually, which is very handy. And then we have those, see there, the menu disappeared, so I click again to see it again. We have the battery, we have the time, and we have a little compass, and you can see when you're in absolute level. So you have 2 levels, very handy for basically hunting, sniping, to see that the BB is going straight. So let's go into the menu and change the settings. So this is the menu, you have all the menu things there. And I press the lower button of the 3, and I go right, and I go to color, and I press the middle button to engage it, and then I can circle through. So this is black, then red hot, which I really enjoy, and then we have the normal color mode. And now if I want to lock it in, I hold the middle button, boop, the color disappears, and now I can't exit the menu. So I just have to wait until the menu goes away to start recording a clip internally. And you see it can take a couple of seconds until the menu goes away. It's still there, and now I can go and engage. If I hold now the photo button, which is the bottom one, you can see there's a recording starting right now. And then I hold it again and it stops and it's saved internally. And I can transfer it via the app, or there's actually a cable that I can run to my computer. And yeah, basically that's it. There's a lot of different things you can do. Obviously in the menu, it's very, you can change the brightness, the contrast. You have a lot of different things you can do here. But yeah, you can check those out in the manual if you want to. Let me show you what's actually in the box. So the Pfalcon 640 comes in this really handy carrying case. And if you unzip it, then you get the unit right here. And it sits in this very cool protected case, which is really nice. You have the unit, then you have a battery that goes here in the front. Then you have a little charger for the battery. You have a mount for a wrist system, so you can mount this on your rifle in front of your scope or replace your scope, but not in Germany. Then you have a different eye cup for if you use it on a helmet mount. You can switch this out so this sits over your eye a little bit better. Bunch of cables and accessories. So we have a charging USB for the battery. Then we have this giant cable, which is like a NATO plug. I think it looks almost like a NATO sound plug. I'm not really sure. Then a cinch cable, and it goes to USB. So you can put that into your computer if you want to. Then a converter for the USB for your home wall plug, some cleaning utensils, some Allen keys, a different battery cap because there's a little slightly larger battery. You can also put that in, but then you need to attach the different battery cap, which is important. And then it comes with a couple of screws because I already mounted it on. It comes with this little rail system that clips on to the helmet mount, which is also included. It looks a little oldish, like a very big Rhino mount, but it has a lot of variation to the left and to the right, so you can really easily change it over your eye, and it can be mounted to any helmet. Or I had it actually where it is right now on my Cry nightcap, which is that you don't need to have to run a helmet. It's basically like a little hat you put on, but it has a mount in the front, so you can mount it, put it up, put it down, and you have all different kinds of little adjustments you can do to perfectly fit it over your eye. To use this, you just unscrew this, you take the battery, which is here. And you have to be very careful to always put the battery in the correct way. It says in here that plus is going down. I always look that I have plus in the front. Of course it looks like it, but I also look on the description that it says on the printing on it. Has to go in the right way. And it is completely IP protected for I think up to 30 minutes into 1 meter deep of water, which obviously you shouldn't do, but if it falls or if it rains, it should be fine. And then you're good to go. And all of this comes in this very, very nice black cardboard box, which I really enjoy. And what we do, we have the Wi-Fi on, then we go in our phone into our Wi-Fi settings, and it will show up as infrared. There's a password you can change, but there's also the standard password. You go in, you let it connect. Then it has an app called InfiRay Outdoor. You open that up, and then pretty quickly you can go on Viewfinder. Obviously, you can also download footage from there, pictures and video that can be recorded internally. And then you have a live feed of, let's try it, of the camera. I think you can see it. You can see my hand. You can see the light here. And yeah, almost no latency, so it's really nice to look at. And then obviously you can start recording, taking a picture from here and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's basically it. And then if you want to turn it back off, you just hold the power button, and then it asks you internally, do you want to power off? Yes, no. And then you go on yes, but I just went on no. Yes, and boop, it's gone. And that's it, what comes in the box of the Pfalcon 640 Plus. Okay, let's hit some points on a sensible all-throw. I absolutely love this device in comparison to other like hunting thermal devices, this is like so small compared to my friend's one, which is like twice the size with like less resolution. This is like so much more portable, especially if you have to put it like in front of your scope to then like look around with your rifle. It can get really heavy real quick. So 355 grams don't put you that far back. What I didn't like on this unit is the intro menu structure, or how they actually do this, because you have 3 buttons here. One is on, and yeah, this is like the picture button, and this is like a menu button. But when you go into the menu, it's like super hard to navigate. You can go left and right, and then you can go into a point and you can change it, and then you have to hold this for a very long press, and then you're still in the menu, and you cannot undo the menu, because if you try to get out of the menu, you just go 1 slot to the left, and yeah, you just have to wait until the menu disappears after like 20 seconds, which is really annoying if you have something, an animal that's right in front of you, which is like very skittish and wants to run away. You cannot start the record before you're out of the menu, because I would have done it differently. Let's put it that way. You get used to it, but yeah, you need to know there's some limitations. For example, that you cannot exit out of the menu and you just have to wait 20 seconds until it goes away. It's sensible to mention that UF Pro is actually working on a garment that can protect your heat signature in imaging, so you don't show up as like very hot like your jacket. It reduces the outside surface temperature down to as little as 10 degrees Celsius, and it's called, what's it called? Camo Shield. Other than that, this is a super cool unit. I hope you get the chance to try this out. It's so much fun to just walk with your dogs and look at all mundane things. And of course, for hunting, this thing makes a ton of sense. I made so many clips during that little hunting trip, and it was just so fun to use this in nature. I highly recommend it to get a thermal imager. So thanks again to Nighttech for letting me use this. This was brand new and I appreciate a very lot. Thank you. So I hope you learned today a little bit about thermal imaging, and that this is quite the same but also very different to the camera I'm talking to right now. Now, if you want to check out another video, do that. But other than, I'm gonna see you in the next video. Have a good one. Bye.